the Tattoo Collecting Podcast, Episode 3. We're proud to bring you much better sound and production quality. In this episode, we'll share some of our processes so far. We are definitely learning as we go and fumbling through right and wrong equipment, so bear with us as we make it through this episode as I remind you, much better
sound quality. We hope.
We're going to talk in this episode a little bit about how this whole idea started and what our intentions are. Why it's so important to get this material to other tattoo collectors. We're also going to talk about Jordan's upcoming appointments with Guy Aitchison and Adam France. We will get into when and how to reschedule with your artist when life plans change, and Jordan's awkward discomfort with flirtation from his clients. Join us and follow us into the realm of the Tattoo Collecting Podcast.
And welcome.
And we are back with the Tattoo Collecting Podcast, episode number 3. If you're listening to episode 3, you made it, and you're coming along with us on this ride.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be a fun ride today. What are some of the things we're talking about today, Jordan?
So we kind of want to get into where we're at with this whole podcast and kind of, first off, what our goals are with it, a little bit more in detail. But we also want to walk you guys through our struggle with this and also just our evolution and where this has started, where we're at with it and where it's going, where we hope to be with it eventually. And so we just kind of want to get into all that and show you guys kind of where we're at and how we're collecting this equipment, how we're, trying to make this happen, but we're starting from the bottom, and we don't know much, and it's been an everyday process. So, we appreciate
we're
you
figuring it
guys,
out as we go.
dealing with the sound quality issues is the big thing. We're doing our best.
So we're going to talk about the actual technical difficulties and the things that we're learning as we put together our first project like this. And then we want to talk about our motivations, why are we going to the trouble of spending all this money and taking time out of our lives that are already really busy to share this information, why we feel it's so important to share this information with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on today, we're going to talk about we are taking a trip out to Oregon soon to see Mr. Adam France, who we keep talking about over and over again.
We're coming, Adam.
Yep.
We're coming.
So Jordan's going to get some additions to his collection very soon.
Yes, I have a dyno mechanical sleeve.
But to make the Oregon trip happen, Jordan had to reschedule an appointment with another artist who he really respects. So we want to go through the process of actually rescheduling when life changes and plans.
Right.
Plans change along the way. And we want to talk about the way to go about that. Even being a tattooer, I know Jordan was really nervous about reaching out to Guy about the change in plans. And it was really just a cool opportunity had come up that wasn't an option a month beforehand. So we want to definitely talk about those things because it's really a touchy subject when it comes to rescheduling. And I think some people don't really know the right etiquette. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a touchy subject for some people, and sometimes I tend to forget it until, I'm put in the position myself, and then, something that I wouldn't really have thought too much. Like, oh, I would think, if anyone's got to reschedule, just, let me know. Shoot me an email, and I'll try to work with you and all that. But then having to reschedule with someone that I've like looked up to, for a long time, and really felt, I had such an opportunity to get a chance in, but then, things came up, and I would have, I wanted to reschedule, and how I felt about that. I didn't want to upset him. I didn't want to, I felt like I didn't want him to lose interest in the project, and it kind of made me a little standoffish on it, but I would have been losing opportunity on another project. But I also just kind of thought, shoot, I lost my train of thought there.
You wanted to be in two places at once.
Yeah.
Like, simple as that. And the universe doesn't work that way yet. Not for us.
No, unfortunately, I will be. Neuralink me, and I will be in two bodies. My spider body and my cuttlefish body.
Perfect. Nice.
I think so.
That's a good. That's not even a combination. That's just two total different.
Right. I just want to be able to be both places.
So, are we ready to fire this thing up?
Yes.
So
this is the sacred smoke today.
First blunt of the show, but is this our 7th of the day?
Is it?
I think this is the 7th. I think our last one was the 5th or 6th. So I think this is the 7th. My 7th, your 6th.
Yeah.
I smoked one before we got together today.
Yeah. Yep. As you guys have, if you guys are on episode 3, you've probably watched the other 2 or listened to the other 2, and we smoke.
We do. We have fun.
We smoke.
So hopefully one thing that you can notice is that hopefully our sound quality is a lot better. We've been troubleshooting and just researching equipment left and right. We're building this thing from the ground up, and we're starting this thing with like what we've got, and Jordan is like taking on the endeavor of learning all the software, which he's dabbled in before. I haven't, so he needs to learn it all, then teach me. But we're literally starting with 0. Like a month ago, Jordan didn't have a PC. Let's talk about your computer that you built. And he uses this for all kinds of things, but I think this podcast was the motivation to like pull the trigger to build this machine for yourself. So let's talk about your computer first, and then get into all the technology and add-ons we're acquiring between the two of us, and then what our goals are equipment wise, and all of our apologies for the horrible sound of the last 2 episodes. We're working on that. We're getting through it. But right. Let's start with the computer, and what and why and how and who.
What? Why? How? Who? All right.
This is all for your listening pleasure down the road.
It's where it all starts. But I see what you want to get into, and where I kind of want to start with that is, where the idea started, I feel like. And then why, we started with the idea. Fawn told me about her idea, and to me it sounded like I've been wanting to do a podcast or something like this for a long time. And when she brought up the idea to me, and even sounded like something like, oh my God, let's do a podcast on that.
Yeah.
And it just clicked, and it rung a bell. And I have all these other ideas when it comes to either like making music or recording music, doing gaming, all sorts of things that I could use a computer for. And it just made it click in my head that it's just like a light bulb went off, and I'm like, all right, it's time to start investing in this. This can kind of be like my mothership to all the things I like to do and run and enhance all the things I already do. And I don't know, there's more to that as well, but so that made me want to pull the trigger on building a nice PC. And 1 second.
He almost let the blunt go out. And again, no pressure. We say this every time. No pressure to keep up, but you're always invited. Definitely always invited to smoke with us.
Invited.
Enjoy the ride with us.
Please, but
we're
not,
silly.
We don't care. And if you end up being a guest with us, please don't. It's totally cool to not smoke. We're gonna sit and smoke blunts, and it is a pot-friendly atmosphere. You may call this a podcast, if you will, but
I feel
it's not. Fair. It's not totally what. It's not what it's about, but it's what we do, and it's part of our process, and we kind of want to bring you into our world at the same time while teaching you guys about all these things. But back to my main point. Back to what we were talking about with the computer. So, I mean, I can get into the specs of the computer and all that. I don't think anyone cares to hear too much about that. I know a lot of you nerds probably do, but you can ask us in the comments, and then I will gladly get into it. But right now, off the top of my head, I don't really feel like getting into all that. But so all in all, I built a really nice computer. I had no idea how to do any of that. I've been pretty PC friendly when I was younger. Been years and years since I have. But so I just, kind of taught myself how to do all that. Not too hard, but still jumped into it all really quickly. And as soon as it all started to come together, I started realizing the ideas of where we can go with this and like how far we can take this podcast and what other things that I can do that, I won't necessarily mention here yet. But so, it's just been one piece of equipment after another. So, it went from a computer to, just getting the base of the computer. Then I had to get the monitor. Had a monitor. Was having fun with that for, a good day. And I was like, what would be great?
As if I had 3 giant monitors.
3 giant monitors next to each other. Yeah. And so I've just kind of created this immersive, tech space where I can work on all these things. It's kind of been a extension of my mind. I feel like it's actually quite wonderful, and I recommend it to anyone who wants to jump into that or has a lot to do and does a lot and wants to do a lot, because you can multitask many different things at the same time. So that's cool. But running the podcast, we've had all sorts of ups and downs with equipment. It's been buying one cord, realizing that cord doesn't work, getting another cord, getting one microphone, and it doesn't connect to the computer properly. Then we have another one. That one connects to the computer properly. And then neither of them work. And then both of them work. And then none of them work. And so, it was just kind of been a headache. And so we were trying out different equipment. And so the last 2 podcasts have been us trying to figure out what is right and what we really do want. We kind of, through the trial and error, I think have really come to a medium that we're starting to really like.
Yeah, we really wanted to we didn't want to waste money on things that we don't necessarily need, but at the same time, we didn't know exactly what we needed because the idea is still developing as we're already producing it. So
through a giant cloud of making all this happen in a matter of a month.
2 months ago, the kind of mics we both thought we needed, we both had different ideas, and neither of them were right. Now that we've done this a few times, and so we've got a better idea of what we are actually going to be comfortable with, and as our other ideas continue to grow, how we'll be able to use this equipment more versatilely. So definitely has been a learning experience. It's just technology. It's both our best friend and our enemy in this situation.
You're right. Even now, I'm like, Fawn, get a little closer to the mic. Get a little closer to the mic.
Still...
I'm looking at the levels on the thing and seeing that my levels are higher than hers, and trying to find the right medium. Where should we be even placed in front of the mic? You think it's super, that's what's crazy is you think it's so simple just to record 2 people's voices. You think how fucking hard is it just to record 2 people's voices? Holy fuck, it takes a lot. It's in essence kind of simple, but it really does take quite a bit to really make it happen properly and to happen the way you would hear it in real life, and even enhanced from there without it sounding like crap.
One of my biggest goals is I want everybody that's listening to us to feel like they're just literally chilling in the room with us and just hearing us jib jab, and I want it to feel comfortable and casual. I don't want you to feel like we're lecturing to you or telling you, this is the way to get a tattoo. This is how you talk to people. We want you to just hear all the anecdotes, and we want it to just be having coffee with your homies, talking tattoos all the time.
Because that's what you're doing. You're having coffee with the homies, and you're smoking out the blunts. We prefer, but encourage that you do roll up with us.
Yes.
That you break it up.
Yes.
You roll it up. And what? What do you do, Fawn?
You smoke it.
And you smoke it up.
You smoke it up.
You light it up. And you drink that coffee or you drink that Red Bull. You get that project done. Put this on in the background. Get something done while you're doing this. Let this be something in the background.
Yeah.
If you're getting a tattoo, put this on.
Absolutely. That's one of my biggest goals is I want it to be something useful and helpful for people to listen to while they're going through pain.
Right. And I don't care really if you know who I am. It's not about me. I don't care about any of that. This is not about hey, it's Jordan, it's Jordan Rookus. This is Fawn Baker. To me, I want the information to get out, but I like to talk and I want to talk and I do, but I don't care if people
talk about something that people need to hear though.
Right.
Right. Man. I just feel like
it'll help the collector, it'll help the tattooer, and I feel like over time, the evolution of this will really be a learning experience for everybody. For after having collectors on, after having tattooers on, even in a lot of other tattoo podcasts, it's it's mostly tattooers talking about tattooing, not as much tattooers interviewing people, tattooing, or maybe we have people on asking us questions, people that, everyone from, someone who just got their first tattoo and went through what that was like, asking us questions as to what they, feel about that. Things we would never know to ask because we're just not, we don't know. We're not in that position anymore.
I can't wait till the day that we can actually hear stories of people saying, I just got my first tattoo and I found this artist and I love them. Thank you. Thank you for telling me this piece of advice that was helpful, or thank you for showing me the right way to go about doing whatever part of the process. I think that's something that in the tattoo community as tattooers, we're submersed in this day in and day out. So tattoo talk is just, we hear it all the time.
Right. It's second nature. It's just.
But a lot of collectors who do not spend, 95% of their life in a tattoo shop, a lot of those collectors, they're not in this world. They might not even be in the art world. So sometimes they literally don't have the language, they just don't know. Just because they weren't, it's not in everybody's everyday life to talk about these abstract ideas and things that they want. And a lot of collectors don't even realize that you can just come up with an idea. You don't have to find a picture online. You can just have an idea and just talk to an artist about your idea, and then once that artist gets inspired and excited back, that's how you know, and that's how you know it's going to be a good tattoo, whether it's big or little, or your first tattoo or your 100th tattoo.
So do your homework on your artist. Do your homework on who you want to tattoo you. Don't just limit yourself to who's in town. Imagine if you only limit, maybe you have an amazing artist and you're lucky enough to be blessed with some really, really awesome artists. Every city's got gems, but not every city has exactly, the artists who can pinpoint a style that you'd really want extremely well. Be willing to go across the country, even a couple states over, and you might find something that you could have never even thought before because you were just thinking about who was in your town or something, and you start pushing your boundaries of, oh my God, I can get this, and that amazing artist, it seems so far away and seems so hard to get in with. Look how busy they are. They have a fucking million followers, or they have 500,000 million followers, whatever.
This person's got 500,000 followers. They'll never even see my message, but sometimes they
contact them in the way that they want to be contacted. Look and see if they want to be contacted through email. Most people aren't going to answer through an Instagram message, and they're not going to answer through a Facebook message or anything like that. Just email them. There's a way to contact them. Maybe they have a website. Do it. It's a simple thing. Just go to that, and then if they like your idea, try to do an idea that's going to be
I like when somebody comes to me with an idea I've never seen before.
It makes it easy because a good artist who has, say, a lot of followers or is really, really popular, they get a lot of people who ask them about tattoos and that come to them, and we get a lot of emails. And so be the one that sticks out. Try to be that one that sticks out, oh, they're going to love this idea. And if you're traveling or going to someone so specifically like that, why not come up with an idea that's going to be right up their alley, not something that's going to be, that's going to go against the grain for them in any other way. I know you like this, but, what if we did something like this? You can put your spin on it, but you're still coming up with a completely different idea. I mean, they might be down, but at the same time, that other thing might really push them off. But at the same time, don't be afraid to ask, because some people might be really down for it and come up with a great blend of what you're thinking. But don't go so far off the path that it's not somewhere in the realm of what they would want, and they're going to message you back quicker. And but all in all, they're right there. It's a click away. They're right there. They will get back to you if it's
something they want to do. They'll get back. I know I'm always bogged down and I'm always behind on my messages. I'm transitioning over to having a manager help me with that, but sometimes it might take me a couple weeks to get back to you, or I might shoot you a message that says, "Hey, thanks for reaching out." However I word it, give me a minute to catch up, and then we'll schedule a consultation. But that's real. Like, you know, if you message me with a rad idea, sometimes it might take a few months to even get that consultation. But once we do, usually I'm super stoked. And once somebody's like waited that long and they're that passionate about the idea, it makes me that much more excited to do it for them. Like, you've waited this long, like that makes it that much more worthwhile for me to make it as good as it can possibly be, and like, you know, even 2 or 3 levels above what you expect.
Absolutely. I can definitely say, you know, when I'm going through my emails, it's exactly that for myself, and it's what I hear from, you know, every other artist that I hear. And the way I have done my own tattoo collecting and my experience, I know as an artist, when I'm going to contact an artist, I'm going to do exactly what we were just saying. And, you know, I know they're going to want to be stoked about it, and they're probably going to say yes, because I'm coming at them with exactly what they want. And if I wanted anything different, I'd find them. Honestly, there's hundreds of thousands of artists. There's always someone for what you want. Don't be afraid to travel, and don't be afraid to really look into it. But when you find that artist, you know, don't treat them like there's 100 other artists who can do that. You know, you found them. You found their specific thing. Like, go to them and trust them. Put your trust in them. But make sure to get your ideas, get your ideas across. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to be confident. And if you're not, a good artist is going to be there to talk to you. They're going to be there to bring out ideas and talk about ideas, and they're going to be able to see it in their mind better than you can right off the bat. Just expect that. Just know that they can see things in their head that you cannot, because it's just what experience is when it comes to art and when it comes to vision and creating a vision. Especially the more experienced the tattoo artist and the more extravagant of a tattooer they are, the more art driven it is, the more painterly it is, the more it's based on a lot of elements of design. But I don't want to take away from, by any means, any other tattoo form. It's great. It's just there's a lot that comes into something that has a lot of elements of design in it and composition really thought about. But I won't go too far down that path.
I like jumping down those paths. But
because I love traditional work. I absolutely do, and I won't fucking touch it, because it's so based on what's there being so perfect. Any little thing that's wrong with it is, it shows big time. Like, if you see me do a traditional work, you'd think I'm a shitty tattoo artist, probably. You probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't come to me for much else. But I'd be like, no, look at the other stuff.
Right.
That stuff's good though.
Those are the things that I like. One of the phrases I use all the time is painterly. I call myself a painterly tattooer, and that's kind of like what I'm saying is I'm not necessarily a technical tattooer. And you break a lot of rules as a tattooer. Your black work is very by the book, but like in your bio and your black and gray work, like just watching the way that you construct things, you break some rules as you work, and your work heals up great. So like you're breaking those rules with purpose. But anyways, the difference is like traditional tattoos, for instance, are like a solid, hard outline. They are bold, bright colors, very limited palettes. They're designed to be simple and get the idea across, and just like hold up over time and be bold. You know what I mean? Where like I specifically chase the effect of my work looking like a painting. I want it to look as rich as an oil painting would. We don't have impasto. We can't play with those textures as we work. But I want to play with the richness of colors as if I'm like layering and building up an oil painting. So when you're oil painting, do you ever put in a solid, hard black outline on anything?
Never.
Probably not.
Never.
Probably
ever.
not.
I don't. I just don't.
It's not the way you paint.
I just don't, because if you're trying to make something realistic, but that's, oh my God, that's to each their own, because I've definitely seen oil paintings with hard, solid black lines, so that's why it's to each their own. Like, even
absolutely.
biomech painters who really get into this stuff like I do, like, they might put solid black lines and it looks so fucking good, so sharp, so crisp, so awesome, so bold, but I don't always, what am I saying? I use bold black lines especially in my bio.
For sure.
I do. I like to get into that shit. So I don't even. It's great.
But I'm just saying they're
I'm not
like
simple.
extreme.
I don't. It's hard for me to simplify. Is what I'm saying.
They're just extreme opposite ends of the spectrum. Where like my brain doesn't think like traditional tattooers. You know, I'm thinking outside of the box if I start simplifying my shapes to just an outline, because to me, I'm always thinking of like the radiant glow of everything. And when you're thinking of the radiant glow, that glow and that contrast are more important than the line. And when you achieve that contrast, sometimes you don't even
so
need the line.
your expression is very restricted. So what you want to express, you can't express with a means like that, and that's relative to everybody.
But it doesn't make it any like
But
better
for,
or worse of a tattoo.
right? So for
that's
someone who does different
important
styles, then that's just gonna be.
Yep, that's why
gonna be a
it's
thing.
important to find the right artist for you, because you're gonna find, like, you could go to an award-winning artist who has trophies lined up and then ask them for something that's completely out of their wheelhouse, and it's gonna be disappointing. It's not gonna be what you expected it to be if it's not what they're used to doing. But yeah, that's why that's probably one of the biggest motivations of doing this, to get back on the like main track of our conversation. Our motivations behind putting this podcast together, and just like the rush for us to get this information to you and to start like letting you know that we've got things worth hearing, between the people we know and the experiences we've been through. I just want to teach people to love tattoos, not only like how to collect them, but how to love them. Like, I want you to love your collection as much as I do. Like, I take so much pride in my own tattoo
how to
collection.
Get something that you're going to feel in your soul.
There are so many achievements attached to my tattoo collection, and I want every collector out there to feel as proud of their collection as I do. So that's one of my biggest motivations. And how do we start teaching people that? Well, we just got to start talking about it. We just got to start talking about what's possible. We just got to show you guys that it's easy to just, first get in contact with the person, share your idea, and then be patient. Like, once the wheels are in motion, they're in motion. And it's really cool that like my collection has come together in such a way that, it was almost effortless. I had to like work my balls off to pay for it, but like once the wheels were set in motion and I committed, everything just fell into place. So I want to teach everybody that it really is that easy to have a nice tattoo collection, and it's really easy to have art that's worth having and sharing with people. And if you do it right, you don't have to worry about laser removal, and you don't have to worry about having something that you might potentially regret, or getting a tattoo that like blows up into a huge fad. You might be the first person you knew with it, but 5 years later, every has that tattoo.
Right. How to bypass those type of trendy tattoos. Yep. How to bypass, all of that. It's so relative. All that can be so relative to how one sees art, and how somebody, how a cultural opinion of something, changes, and how someone can see something. But I think another thing to bring up with that is, fuck what anyone thinks, and always remember that through everything. And when something becomes trendy and not trendy, fuck trends or anything. If you get something and you like it because you truly like it, and you really explored why it is that you like something, or it just really resonates with you, and you're not doing it because other people have it. Don't just see a tattoo that someone else has and go, ooh, I want that tattoo. Like, really look into things. Look into how things can be different, or that you want to do something different, or you want to find an artist that is different. Try to be outside of the box. Try to push that. Don't get the same tattoo that other people have, or just be willing for your artist to do that for you. Be trusting in that your artist will do that, and don't just show them references to things that have always just been done. Know that things can be different, but it's good to give someone a direction. But it's good to know that if you're going to the right artist, that they might be able to push those boundaries a lot farther than what you are thinking, and what they can
absolutely,
even what that artist is thinking at the time. It
makes the whole experience that much more profound and changing. You both collect this thing, like the tattoo. You collect this thing, and it takes not only money to achieve, but it takes a lot of like work and pain just sitting there, like enduring the hours of collecting whatever that thing is. And now you've put all of this trust in a person to bring that thing to life for you. So now you've got, multiple layers of dedication and trust. And you want it to be right. You're going to carry around that artist's energy with you forever. Don't you want to have like good conversation and good memories attached to that?
Right.
Don't you want to meet the artist who like, just brainstorms the same way you do, like your spirituality and the way you think. Like just imagine if like, I don't know.
Don't you feel like when you get tattooed that it's kind of like this is how I feel, that getting tattooed is like a spiritual checkpoint.
Absolutely.
Like every time I get tattooed,
sometimes just the ego.
It gets
just
shown.
Ego checkpoint.
And it's like that too. Like it gets shown to me in many different ways. Every time I get tattooed, a lot happens to me in life that happens that I could have never thought of, like whether it just comes down to the traveling for the tattoo, maybe the people I met, maybe the artist I met, maybe whatever it is that happens in that exploration and that journey to get that tattoo and getting it, and then the self-exploration and the inner shadow work you go through when you're feeling pain that the entire time. Like, so there's all of that comes into play, and by the end of it, you're usually put in your fucking place and you're ready to go home, but you become much stronger every time. And you might still feel like you never want to go through that pain again, and then your brain, you might think, I'm weak because I don't want to do that again and it really sucked. But no, you become much stronger. Your spirit becomes much stronger because you withheld it. Think about like African tribes that put their hands inside like bullet ant fucking gloves and stuff. I feel like this is that for us. Imagine what you've gone through for fucking 8 to 10 hours of pure, sorry guys, torture.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been in those like really dark places on long sessions where it's like, man, why did I commit to this? And then as I'm asked, I'm questioning why I'm like making myself sit there and endure that pain, and then my mind goes down the rabbit hole of, people have endured much worse, and then I imagine like, I think of some horrible, all the horrendous things we've heard other people have been through.
Shadow.
Yeah.
The collective shadow.
All
of it. Sorry guys, I'm always gonna get super woo woo with all this because it does, like that's why I'm here is to bring that
maybe
that into reality.
I think one of the things that has changed in me the most, it was incredibly unexpected. I started collecting big tattoos just because I wanted to collect nice big pieces of artwork, and I wanted to share the things that I loved, and I wanted to like represent the things that I loved on me, and they're all there in very like abstract ways and things like that. But I'm so baked. I keep losing my train of thought.
Sorry, I'm just grinding. I'm just like grinding weed with my arms 4 feet in front of me, like a fucking chimpanzee. Breaking the stuff up, it's probably pretty distracting.
It is. It's like we just finished one, and it's like, oh, I can't wait till he gets this one done. But for me, the nicest thing that I think I have gained from collecting tattoos the way that I have is all of that spiritual growth. It's made me so much more passionate as an artist and as a collector, just because like I feel like I've tapped into other realms that not everybody has been to.
Absolutely.
Forcing yourself to sit through something that is painful and uncomfortable, and I'm not the kind of person that likes to be vulnerable, so just putting myself in a situation of vulnerability. So when I talk about trusting your artist, like I do not like to be vulnerable, so I feel like when I'm being tattooed, I'm deliberately putting myself in the most vulnerable position, and I'm deliberately and voluntarily putting myself in a position to go through some of the most horrible pain I've ever experienced. And at the end, I say, thank you, see you next month. But at the same time, sometimes I leave feeling defeated, and those are the sessions that I call humbling, and those are the sessions that are ego checks. Those are the sessions where I thought I was going to sit there and be tough, and I was going to get 8 hours in, and we were going to get this huge amount of work done, but like cut to at 4 or 5 hours, I am just broken. Like I am just like a child. I'm just like a broken, punished child.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like mentally, like I'm already just, I call it over it when I'm just over the whole tattoo experience. But mentally, I'll be over it.
Over it.
And And
it's a new one.
I'm just telling myself,
fucking done with it.
I'm over it. But I'm telling myself, like, it's a commitment that I've made, and I've been through so many other tough sessions at this point that I can push it further, and I can push myself a little farther. And I always remind myself it's not going to kill me, but at the same time, just making myself sit through those uncomfortable experiences, I come out so much stronger, and it makes it so much easier to deal with any other uncomfortable situation that I'm in, whether it's a physically painful situation, or it's a sad situation, or it's, just a very highly stressful situation. But it's definitely given me, like, I don't know, more tenacity. Is that the right word? More like, more mental fortitude, for sure. Like, it definitely has made me more tolerant of things, because, like, even on the day that, like, say I'm hurting from something or my body's aching, it's like, well, I've experienced worse than this.
So you think it's affected your willpower?
Definitely. Like, things that I might have been scared of and not even tried, it'll be like, well, it won't kill me. Like, it's gonna hurt today, but it'll be better tomorrow.
Right.
So
that whatever you're going through,
yeah,
it's gonna be over.
Yeah, but
shit fucking hurts.
But at the same time, like, I can sit here and say that I've had all of this growth, and I feel like so much of a stronger person than I did like 5 or 7 years ago. But at the same time, I still have those days that are completely humbling and still, like, just bring me down to, like, I always call it a crying little girl. I'm always like, I was crying like a little girl. I don't usually really cry, but it's really that, like,
your body's just like in shock. You're just kind of like, you're just over it. Your strength, you did your willpower as long as you could. You withstood. You held your breath as long as you could, metaphorically.
Yep. It's a little bit different than, like, I was an athlete in high school, so running track, there are a lot of things that you physically, you hit a wall when you're running, or when you're doing anything to excess. You hit a wall where your body just starts being done. And, I experienced that as an athlete, and I had to work through those walls, and I had to work through injuries, and I had to train on, injured knees and injured ankles and injured hips, and I still had to do it, and I still had to compete, and I still had to present myself as I was just as strong as everybody else, even though I might have had, all these injuries that nobody even knew about, from training.
Mm-hmm.
So to compare that with, like, the growth of being tattooed is just, it's like a whole nother level. It's like you hit those walls that you hit as an athlete, and that's like wall 1. Like, that's barrier 1. Like, you hit the wall where your body's exhausted and you're in pain and you're over it, but then you make yourself sit there for 4 more hours, because you said you're going to make yourself sit there for 4 more hours. So it's not necessarily that I'm chasing anything. It's just that, like, I just know I can do it, and I know after I do it, I'm going to be stronger. Like, even if it breaks me and it humbles me through experiencing whatever pain that tattoo caused me, experiencing that makes me stronger spiritually, I almost compare some of my tattoo experiences to, like, a DMT trip. Are we cool talking about DMT trips on here? Is that a thing?
We're so cool talking about it. Trust me. Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is I'm running this podcast.
I'm asking your moral.
Yeah.
No.
This is we're running this through my
conundrums.
computer right now. We're talking about DMT.
Okay. All right. Well, I've definitely had some experiences that were equally as valuable and, like, altering in a good way that, some of my DMT trips were. But I'm going to say they were even more valuable than that, because I had, like, the painful, traumatic ride up the pain scale to get to the point where you're experiencing those hallucinogenic breakthroughs.
Yeah, I remember you talking to me outside of this about that, and some of your experiences like that are definitely
some of them are
a little bit farther than I think that I've kind of gone with it, but
Well, I've pushed myself past the point of fear with my pain. Like, I've pushed myself to the point where, like, I had given up, and I'm just, like, laying there, and it still hurts, but I don't have the energy to fight back.
And she's not on DMT. It is it feels like it's like one of those things, you know. It kind of like it touches that realm of things, you know, where you just go into such a deep inner space because of what outside circumstances are going on.
before collecting tattoos, I didn't really know anything about like the chakra sciences and energies. But now, as I'm just like starting to dip my toes in the water and learn about those things, collecting my tattoos, it opened my eyes to that. Like different parts of the body definitely do activate different emotions and different chakras. Like the most I call it the most traumatic experience, just because it was definitely one of my more painful sessions, but it was on my chest, and it was right where Ty was working on like my solar plexus area, and like that is the core of the body. That is where your soul is housed. I don't care if people tell you it's in your brain, but like that day changed my soul, both physically where the pain was, as well as all the experiences attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's that experience in itself that motivates me to want to share how changing tattoo collecting can be, just because like I probably grew 10 years spiritually in that day. Like something in like that's why I compare it to a DMT trip, because like I had visual hallucinations. It was like a full fractal tunnel in front of me that I was flying through. But I also had all of these like personal revelations that day as well. So there was the pain that I was pushed through, and then there was like just the weight of these personal revelations and boundaries that I had pushed through and broken. And you know, I was humbled more than anything in that day, but at that same time, in being humbled and being shown how incredibly weak I was, being shown that I could be broken. Like I can't mentally say I can't be broken. I can be broken, and that was shown to me today. And gaining that, like, let's call that an ego death. I don't know if that's what you would really call that, but like, let's call that just that soul changing day, that soul changing ride. It changed me as a person. Like, I don't know another way to say it other than I just feel like I aged. It's like I was given wisdom from the universe.
A deep inner reflection, because it's only a reflection of what's inside.
Absolutely.
You know,
it
so
was just like,
you know, that thought of what a deep inner reflection is, like, is it like I'm deeply inner reflecting, like that goes deep.
Yeah, I just wouldn't allow myself to tell him to stop. And you know, Adam was just babying me. I don't know if you guys have caught the previous podcast, but Ty McEwen and Adam France did my chest collaboratively, and they would always work in tandem. So it would be two of them working on me at a time. In this day in particular, when Ty was working on the most painful of my soul chakras, that in those moments, I could only tolerate one of them working on me at a time. So Ty got the privilege of being bad cop, and you know, he did what he had to do, but Adam was just taking the utmost care of me. It was almost like a healer's touch as I was going through crazy pain. But at the same time, he was just like consoling me and calming me. And like at the same time, I'm just like going through this super emotional experience just because of like everything that I'm visualizing and all of these epiphanies that are happening like while I'm in this immense pain. You can hear it in my voice. I well up just talking about it. But it was definitely a changing day. But I think that's what everybody should experience. I don't think you should necessarily chase like the pain train to achieve it, but I think that's just a life experience that everybody should go through. And I think it's really special that I found that moment through tattooing. So for me, it was a very accidental discovery that I want to share with everybody. And I want everybody to have, you know, if you're going to collect tattoos and you're going to fall in love with this lifestyle, I want you to fall in love with it for the right reasons. And I want you to have these soul-changing experiences that are only going to make you a better person. Like, yes, I want you to have like award-winning, amazing, beautiful art. And I want you to know what's possible. But I also want you to know that like, tattoos will change your soul. They'll change your life. They'll, you know, they can open up opportunities, close opportunities, things like that. But like, it can really change you as a person. And I think, you know, when the motivation's right, it's only going to change you for the better and help you grow and be more accepting and more patient and more dedicated, and like all of those things that we're taught we should have in us. I feel like I had a lot of those, but through collecting tattoos, I have it even more. So
Absolutely.
So that's the whole, that got heavy for a second.
That was beautiful.
But that's
that
like
was
that's
beautiful.
the motivation. That's the motivation for us to like get this out here to you, because it's important. And you know, I'm not saying that I was lost. I'm not saying that I needed saved, but at the same time, now I have this like beacon of light that I know is always going to save me.
And we all, it doesn't matter who we are, we all have, you know, whatever's lurking, you know, deep within, you know, the depths of the shadow, which will probably bring up a lot. It's always around.
Jordan will talk about the shadow, I'll talk about the light. That's pretty that's pretty fair.
I delve into the shadow a bit for sure,
okay.
but it's to bring it to the light. And so that's where Fawn's here. It's like
I've got a super dark side too. Oh, Jordan.
You my friend, Fawn.
Oh. You my best friend. What's Joe
I just want to let everyone know too that Fawn's not crying.
Yeah,
she wasn't crying.
My eyes got a little moist. They got a little moisty, but I didn't leak.
Almost.
They didn't leak.
I heard it coming.
Yeah, I got a little crackly.
It's okay, but that's the importance of this.
Yeah, no, that's how
it's gonna. If these big journey tattoos, you know, tattoos that are multi-session pieces, they just, I mean, even full day sessions, I don't necessarily want to restrict to the size of the tattoo, but it definitely becomes exponential the bigger they are. It's the more pain you're going through, the more everything. It's just more energy. So there's a lot more going through you, and you have a lot more time to sit and face yourself. And so even if you're ignoring the artwork aspect that's happening to it, you're sitting there going through pain the entire time. And so, and I don't know, there's a lot I can get into that, you know, it's a lot of psychological effects that happen to it. And tattooing, you know, at this point, thousands of people, like I've easily tattooed over 1,000 people at this point. Easy. And, you know, I've seen it with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, just what they go through during their experiences, and where they go in their mind, and where seeing the relationship and the differences between one person to the next, and how one person delves really deep. And some people will start talking about, you know, deep traumas, things they would never get into with any other person, but because for some reason they you know, they feel safe, which is, you know, they should. We're never gonna, you know, make fun of anybody or anything like that. I'm there to listen to people. Like, I won't always interject. I enjoy talking when people want to talk, but if you get in on heavy subjects, I'm not going to interject too much, but I'll always be there to listen to what you have to say. I understand the journey that's happening for you.
It's a pretty sacred
what's
connection.
Unfolding, but people do unfold as it happens, and when it happens inside you, don't be afraid to let that happen. Don't be afraid to, don't try to understand so much, and don't try to fight. If you start feeling angry while you're getting tattooed, or if you start feeling feelings while you're getting tattooed and you don't really understand why, just let yourself feel it. Let yourself go through it. It's going to happen with everybody. Yeah. And some people acknowledge it. Some people don't. Some people just know another day tattoo. And some people talk through the whole tattoo, so they don't feel that. You know, they don't. They didn't go through the deep experience, you know, behind their eyelids with it. Which, you know, I'm going to say is a different thing. It's just like I'm going to get on a psychedelic page, or, you know, meditation too, but let's go psychedelics. You could take acid and close your eyes for 12 hours, or you can take acid and go have fun and, you know, keep your eyes open and party. They're going to be two different experiences. They're both going to be spiritual, but one's going to be, you know, one
you're going to a little more.
One you're going to look deep within, and the other you're going to look outside. So you think introverted, extroverted. You know, you have your introverted experiences and you have your extroverted experiences, and I think everyone should, you know, go through both. Don't just you know, think I'm extrovert, so I'm gonna stay. You know, I want to do everything outside myself. Like I feel like that's when people really need to.
That's when they're due for the ego check.
I know this is a tattoo podcast, but this is what you're going to come to expect from us.
Yeah.
There's always, and this is just how I am. I just, that's how I see life. I'm always tying into how I believe things work, either, you know, on an energetic value, or I don't know, how the systems of life interplay to make what's happening, or my own psychology to what's happening, and trying to be extremely conscious of it and communicate that, because, you know, I am, and I feel it, and I see it, and I've experienced, and all I wanted, that's why, part of why I want to do this podcast, is so I can get that out to other people. It's why I make art, is to try to explain, you know, these realms and these things and these other, I don't know, these ethereal parts of life that do intertwine with everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Tattooing especially. I'm not going to try to glorify tattoo artists as some spiritual fucking facilitators of tattoo fucking magic, but
some of us can be.
I think in some ways some people are, but that's not the point. It's that each person, because of what you're going through, is a spiritual experience, regardless of who's doing it. You can put yourself through a spiritual experience, and it will be that, especially with intention of that, but it will always naturally be that. Pain is a facilitator of a spiritual awakening. Like, that is just, what it's going to be. That's why people can take it all over the place. Some people learn to love it. Think about people who learn to love pain. You think not spiritual?
No.
It's spiritual because they found what they really, really like. It's not a bad thing. It's, just like, people with their own fetishes and stuff. You can't say that's a bad thing, but
I feel like after experiencing some of the things that I've experienced with my tattoos and some of the extreme pain,
liking
and some
it.
Of the, I get it. I understand why people chase the pain train now. Like, I understand why people get excited and, like, they want to be in the most intense pain they can. Like, I understand. I've experienced that euphoric pinnacle, and
you don't
it's not
usually
worth
want to
it.
go back.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not worth it.
It's just like we talk about DMT. Let's go back there. I don't just want to jump back into a DMT experience all the time because it's insane. It is wild. It is super wild, and it's a lot to go through. It's not necessarily painful. Can maybe not be, but it is so wild. So I feel like the tattoo experience, when on 5-hour scales, and especially in certain painful areas, that's kind of. You go through that, oh my God, I couldn't have imagined how insane that was before.
I had no idea it would hurt that bad. Let's talk about nipple tattoos. It's it's not going to be that much worse on the nipple, right?
Listen, that's
it
where
gets so much worse.
I was going to get to is when Nathan tattooed me, and now that was an experience. And to me, that was a spiritual experience. I didn't, have some really, really super deep spiritual experience. It was kind of, something that happens every once in a while to me. I had an out-of-body experience. But so imagine I'm getting tattooed for 2 days, 10 hours each day on my chest. We're going at our probably 18, 19, probably just last half hour of the tattoo. And we've the whole time held off on the nipple. That's the only space open left. I knew it was coming. I really wanted to make sure it was covered. It just made the whole piece look a lot better covering it. But I knew it was coming. So by the end of it, numbing stuff wore off. Everything wore off. I was at my peak of just exhaustion. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh, man, we should not have waited till the end.
Absolutely.
But listen, it was, I think, a good thing because the piece just it didn't have its development until the end. I felt like it just kind of had to go that way. The way the piece flowed. If he would have just threw the black in right there, it would have threw off the whole piece right away, and he would have had to compensate.
Yeah, it's easier to go in and plug those shadows in where you need them, and make the darks as dark as you need.
So you can have your mind kind of build it. And the way he drew it and freehanded it, I seen how the whole thing went. There was nothing wrong with it. It was amazing. Loved the tattoo. But nipple last, painful. The spiritual part of the experience was that I was out of my body during it. As soon as he hit that needle, I was already in a lot of pain, and then he just went right to it, and I was outside myself looking at me in the chair above myself. And like, I joke around when I'm telling people, like, people be like, how'd the nipple feel? I was like, I was out of my body. I was not in my body. I think some people think like, oh, it hurt so bad. He just like, he felt outside of himself. I was outside of myself looking down. But that's not a uncommon experience for me. So, it wasn't the most astonishing thing to me. But I love it when that stuff happens. But it was through deep pain that it happened. And it just was kind of clicked and brought on. And I think to someone who's never left their body before, it's a revelation type feeling. Like, oh, man, I can exist outside my body, even if I'm conscious. It's almost like a lucid dream, but you know how conscious you are. And there was no in between. There was no, I'm here. Somehow I disappear, and then I'm there, like a dream. You know what I mean? It was like I was there until I like closed my eyes and just faded and just was brought out, and I was just like there. It just like hurt so bad, but it was probably like, we were in and out in a minute. It was pretty quick, but I was at my I was not existing in my body while it was happening, and so it hurt, but I almost didn't feel it because I just like kind of left for a minute. Not that long, but in my brain it kind of feels like it was a long time. But I remember it being over really quick. But I can kind of have a more visual I can feel like how it felt like, just like on a psychedelic, you know, like time exists a little different while you're going through an experience like that. And then you come back and you're like, how long was I gone? And you're like, I don't know, maybe like 15 minutes. You're like, I thought I was
like
gone
17 years.
a lifetime. I was a boy, and then I was a teenager. I was a man. I had a wife. Suzanne, Johnny. Where's my boy? Where's my boy?
I'm dying. You're killing me. You're killing me here. We jumped way too far down that rabbit hole.
Hunter. Keep Summer safe.
Wow, I feel like he's joking but telling the truth at the same time. I had a wife. Oh, that's amazing. All right. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and take a little break. Stretch out.
It is. It's break time.
It's a big long stretch. We'll be back
in a minute.
Ooh. Oh. You guys made it. You're halfway there. Halfway. Don't go anywhere. Don't fucking move. Don't fucking move. Okay, well now we are gonna get back to
the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus. That's me. Goodbye.
I'm glad I brought this other chair from my house.
And we're back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast.
I didn't know we were live, but I'm glad I brought this other chair from my house. No, it's cool.
I just wanted to kind of come into it, you know, like
I thought we were going to do these dabs before we started recording. That's okay.
We're in
here
it.
we go.
Candied moment.
Okay, you brought us in. What are we talking about next?
We are going to talk about, so we didn't really, we kind of went down some rabbit holes last time. Started talking about my Guy trip and reschedule. I had to reschedule with Guy to make this Oregon trip we're doing happen. So when I found out that we were doing the Oregon trip, Adam contacted me. He wanted to tattoo me, so I wanted to make that happen. I was super excited to go to Oregon with Derb and Fawn, so I wanted to make that happen. I really, it's been a lifelong dream to get tattooed by Guy Aitchison. So with that in mind, having to cancel on him before
he was so distraught.
I would have been like, there would have been no way ever that I would ever cancel on this appointment because, like, oh my God, if I miss this chance, like, what if I miss this chance? But I realized, I just really thought about it. I even talked to a few people. I talked to like Fawn and Derb. I'm like, what do you guys, do you think Guy would be like pissed or something or mad? Or do you think
I was just like, hit him up now?
Do you think he would lose interest in the tattoo? That was kind of my worry. My biggest worry. Like, I kind of figured he'd be okay with it. He probably wouldn't want to, but maybe he would lose interest in the project, or more so think that I'm losing like the massive interest, or maybe, I might not have the funds, or maybe I'm trying to wait or push it off or whatever and don't want to pull the trigger or want it, but, anything it could be. The little things that I think about sometimes in people when they can like contact me multiple times or something, and they can be a little bit iffy, and it has happened. But for the most part, like I'm always gonna be really cool if you want to, reschedule or something. But I contacted Guy, and he was super cool about it. He was just like, all right, yeah, cool. I'll definitely, find my next dates and get back to you. And so he got back to me, scheduled for like 2 more weeks out from there, which I do feel like was very, very lucky. We're in some COVID times, so people have changed up the way they work, I think. Normally, see, my worry was that, like, oh, man, what if he's like 2 years booked again? Or what if, what if he's way on down the line? It was a really lucky thing for me to get in as soon as I got in. It's Guy Aitchison. He's always been like a year booked out, always. And I got in within like 2 months. And so I didn't want to also, be like, all right, you got me in 2 months and I'm still pushing it out. But he was really cool about it, and I enjoyed that. So it made it really easy, and I can go to Oregon. I can get tattooed by Adam. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, how long has it been since you've been worked on by Adam?
Too long. I feel bad talking about it. It's probably been a year or 2. Yeah, it's been a little while, but he moved, so it was harder to get a hold of him. I went through I started getting tattooed by him. I was gonna go see. Some things happened too, and this is another thing, is I was gonna get tattooed by him, or I started getting tattooed. After that, I had a lot of things start happening in my life where I had an ex, and just things started going awry with her, and it just started making traveling for tattooing really hard. My money for things became a lot harder. Started going into a little bit lower point for a little bit. I don't want to say lower point, but things went awry for a minute where I had to kind of recalibrate my life.
Yeah, and it happens.
And yeah, so that happened.
Tattoos are frivolous,
You're right. So I wanted to wait to get back in, but it did take a little while. But I also got a little. I had the itch for some other style too. So kind of cheated on him and went to Nathan Marty, got a big chest piece, 2-day chest piece done by him, and just got it done in 1 2-day swoop. Oh, I forgot. I have had 2 sessions in with, so I have had a couple with Adam at least. But yeah, I thought I was just going to go get tattooed by him and by Nathan, and then go, a month later get tattooed by Adam again. But then things in my life, it was just all culminated to this one point, and started just didn't have money for things anymore. Didn't have a bunch of stuff.
Like that sometimes.
Yeah, it is what it is. But then it took me a little while to kind of get back on my feet, get where I wanted to, and the frivolous stuff I couldn't spend until now. I'm back at Red Tree, and I'm making, I'm doing better than I've done my entire life.
Single and at Red Tree.
Single, very single, ladies.
Very single. This is Jordan, very single Ruckus.
Jordan, very, very single Ruckus, yeah. Or Dr.
But the Cougars love him.
Dr. Cuttlefish.
The Cougars love him, though.
The Cougars, they do. I encourage it. But what I don't encourage is don't ever make it weird for me while we're tattooing, please. I will never cross those lines unless you directly cross them in front of me. Chances are I don't really, I'm like,
You
think it's kind of innocent, flirty. I think that's fun for sure. If there is a connection, there's a connection. But don't make it weird for me, because if I'm, there isn't a connection.
Don't make it weird.
Yeah, if you know when it's weird. And I definitely, I don't know. I just don't.
It's weird and fidgety just thinking about the most recent client that was weird to him. He was shook.
It happens every once in a while, for sure. It's definitely, I think, the Cougars that are, the one I'm not really attracted to. Then they're coming on to me, and then I kind of, it's fun and flirty. But then, they leave the tattoo, and then they message me.
And then they start talking about your son that's like 2 years older than you.
Right. And I don't know. Chances are nothing's ever going to end up working out with any of that. So, if you're barking up that tree, you know what you're getting into.
Oh, man. Oh, the Cougars.
Oh, no, I don't really. I'll flirt if you're flirty, but I will not initiate, really, when it comes to tattooing. But if you initiate with me and then I like it, I might initiate back. If I don't initiate, then just please shut it down.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Let's be friends.
Shut it down.
Just remember that another thing, the tattooing thing, it is a sacred thing, for sure.
Tattoo friend zone.
And like the tattoo friend zone, you'll realize how good of a friend you will have if, you don't always make things weird, and you don't always like make it sexual or something like that. You can be very sexually attracted to someone by not having to say anything. Don't always do that. I mean, you can say something sometimes. If there's a connection, there's a connection. Maybe we'll cut this. Let's cut this last part out.
Oh no, we'll keep it. We'll keep it all.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah. Just be careful on those grounds. Don't make the tattoo weird. Don't make it so one day you might regret your tattoo if you don't get the reaction that you want, and we're midway tattoo or we're 3 sessions deep, and again.
That's really important. Sometimes people don't realize how many feelings and stuff can be attached to the tattoo itself, but also like attached to the time spent with the person making the tattoo.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely met quite a few different girls that had a really weird, sexual come-ons and weird come-ons by dudes tattooing them, and they weren't into it at all. And because of that, they might have loved the tattoo, but they just felt so weird about it. And I thought the tattoo was beautiful, but they almost didn't like the tattoo because it was such an awkward experience for them. And I would hate for me to ever do that to anyone, and that's the last thing I ever want. So don't put me in that position ever, and I'm not going to put myself in that position.
I want to interject here. As a female tattooer, I have definitely had more than my fair share of women come to me who are having a perfectly good tattoo covered. Like, I don't want to say tons of women, but definitely more than I should have. But like, they're coming to me because they want a good tattoo covered. Why do they want it covered? Because the tattooer was being a scuzzbucket the whole time. Girls don't want to get hit on, and they don't want to get told to take their pants off for a tattoo on their belly. Like, those are not things girls want to hear. And when tattooers cross those lines and somebody is made uncomfortable during their session, now they've got, even though it's the tattoo they wanted and the tattoo is good, now they've got these really bad feelings attached to it because a scuzzbucket did it, and they don't want that mark on them. And that's a really disappointing thing to see happen. Because I think it is a sacred thing, because there's so much trust between the client and collector, and I think it's just deplorable when tattooers take advantage of that. Deplorable.
Very careful to tread those grounds ever with anyone. Like, I'm going to be honest, I've had attractions with different people, but I'm so wary to ever tread those grounds because I tattoo them, and I don't ever want their tattoo experience to be bad. And if I know you're not going to end up being my wife one day, or we're going to have a relationship, like, I don't even want to start barking up that tree in any way, because I don't ever want you to think badly about your tattoo. So I can be really careful. Really careful about that.
That's the way it should be. I mean, it is few and far between. Like, you might meet the love of your life in your chair.
Sometimes
like,
I meet people I have
client.
had connections with. I can definitely say that, but I can definitely say
I
don't start rubbing their leg during the tattoo. I don't start coming on to them in the middle of the tattoo. Like, if there was ever anything like that, like, there were very sure
I feel
tells and communications that, made it that way. But when we're tattooing, never anything sexual. I don't care if we have a relationship. I don't care if you're my girlfriend. Like, I really don't want anything sexual during the tattoo. I just need to focus.
Right.
I need to focus. If I'm getting sexually attracted to anything during tattooing, that's taking away my focus.
Focus.
It is a thing. Wait till after.
Wait till after. No, I think it is a thing. Occasionally there, it does work out. Tattooers fall for their client, marry them, children, happy family, hopefully happy family. But I think usually in the situations where that is actually successful, like, there's usually a true friendship right away, and then that evolves into the relationship. Like, it doesn't usually start out as a relationship,
and it doesn't
not
happen.
in any successful times that I've heard of.
I don't know. I guess it could happen mid tattoo, but if it's ever been for me, it's never really mid tattoo. It's, there's conversation afterwards. There's no weird come-ons during the tattoo. It's, after they leave, they message, someone will message me and, say something, and, maybe I thought you were really cute, and, cool, this person's texting me now, and now we can keep it outside of the business and outside of work, because I don't. Oh yeah, the other thing is tattooers are in a position of power, in some sense when we're tattooing. You know, it's just
we're being trusted.
think it's almost like it's
somebody's body.
To people who are getting tattooed, to some people, it's almost like a rock star position to where you're drawing something for them. They're starting to feel really connected to you because you've gone out of your way to draw a picture for them and like just do all these things for them and stuff. So sometimes, you know, just people kind of have a little bit more of a, you know, I don't want to say a connection with them, but more willing to listen. They're more willing for like influence and things like that from their tattoo artists and things, and also the fear for someone to not want to make things something weird, or for them to not speak their mind because you're tattooing them and you're in the middle of something that can be so touchy. You don't want your tattoo artist to all of a sudden be mad in the middle of your tattoo, so you might not say anything back to the fucking weird creepy comment that they said, which is just like not, you know, not cool. But that's a position that a lot of tattoo artists who do act like that take advantage of, and is really wrong.
Long story short, collectors don't trust creeps.
Yeah.
Just stay away from the creepy guys.
Don't
go to somebody good.
Don't
Like
trust creeps, and just don't bring anything sexual to the tattoo experience unless you
don't you be a creep.
Very much,
and don't trust creeps.
You know, unless you have unless like, you know, you have a relationship with the artist. Like you have a relationship with the artist, that's one thing, but you know, just to your random person, I don't want to deal with it. I might even be attracted to you, I just don't want that during the tattoo. You know, maybe afterwards, whatever. You can invite me to an orgy afterwards. I will come to the orgy. I will.
What other business is it actually like acceptable and legal to sleep with your clients aside from prostitution?
Exactly.
I don't think there is one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Well, yeah.
Just checking. I can't think of one either. I'm just checking.
Right. Well.
Like, what other business is that cool to sleep with the customers who walk through the door? Like, what? Oh, so what about a business that's like hands-on, ultra personal, and you know people's like personal business and lives? And I feel like that's the one that you especially shouldn't cross those lines with. You know what I'm saying?
And I am on that term, because keeping the relationship sacred is definitely one thing for sure.
Yeah. Word of advice, clients: keep it classy, keep it sacred.
Keep it classy, keep it sacred.
Artists,
be smart,
take pride and do
be
the
aware,
same thing.
Communicate properly. Listen to each other. Listen to each other's body language. If someone isn't liking something, don't go along. I'm not gonna get into that anymore. I don't know. I could just keep on. I can keep on
Tattoo
going with that.
groupies and cougars. We could talk about them all day.
It's part of me that enjoys it all. You know, I live that life, but I also
we do enjoy giggling about it. Like being that. So Jordan and I actually work across the hall from one another at Red Tree, and so even if I'm not like in his business and he's not in mine, like we can catch each other's vibes. You know what I mean? Like we know when it's a homie that that the other one's working on, or like when like you need to smoke early. Like I'm taking a break now. Take one with me. Calm down.
Right.
Like relax. Like
right.
So it's funny that like the days that one of us is flustered or like we're just like a little off, like we can see it, and then we've got all these inside jokes after the fact. Like we usually keep it classy and don't like talk about our clients in a cruel way, but after the fact we very generically, you know, we know who the weirdos are, or who did funny things, or who said weird things, or
right. And then we
get a lot of funny stories to talk about. That's good.
It's nice. It's definitely nice. It's lucky to have a good friend across the hall. That's awesome. And then we get to run the podcast too, so it's kind of like it's like cyclical flow.
Yeah, we get to people watch and then observe, and then we get to share our observations with somebody now.
And see, before the podcast, what we would do is one of us would wake up at like 9 o'clock in the morning. We'd go to the other's house with our dog, and then we would just smoke blunts and drink coffee until about noon. We go back home, and then we go to work.
Yeah.
So we were already smoking blunts, so we figured why not bring the things we would talk about were wonderful though, and so we would I was already always thinking like,
oh man, this would make such a good podcast.
We could just have this on a podcast, and so it just kind of evolved from that. And I've always wanted to do that. I have so many conversations with such cool people. You know, lately like Fawn's one of the only people I hang out with a lot lately. So like she's one of the main people I'm having lots of conversation with, but.
Well, Jordan and I have a lot in common to begin with. We both grew up in West Michigan, so we can talk about things that are a little bit different from Ohio. So I think we have that was an instant like kindredship that we had. And then after, like, outside of that, we're into so many similar, like, our tattoo work is very, very different. If you were to look at both of our Instagram pages, we do crazy different styles of work. But, like, if you were to hang out with us, we're both into, like, universe and plants and science and geometry.
Yeah,
and
we're both psychonauts, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
I'd say we're both here for the mysteries.
Yeah.
We're both here for life.
Yeah, so
Nature,
Jordan and I have
organics.
ended up spending a ton of time together because he ended up moving like 2 blocks away from me. So we're like practically neighbors, and then we're neighbors at work. So
Yep. So it's made that nice.
so
For
yeah,
sure.
Jordan's new to
It's
the
nice
area.
to have a
but,
friend out
like,
here too, just moving out here.
It's good. And like I just actually moved to Columbus. I was staying in Marion, but I just made the move so I wasn't commuting just a couple months before you moved to town. So we were both new to like the area of Columbus that we're in.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really realize that you were pretty new.
Oh yeah, like that's why when I offered for you to stay with me, it was like my house is still pretty bare, but I had like I had just moved in like 3 weeks before that.
I think I came here. Was I doing the interview? Oh no, that was the party. That was the opening party that we had.
Yeah,
Nice.
I moved I think October, so it was just.
And I was like,
before you came.
yes, someone I work with that can keep up with my smoking habits too.
And then there's Derb. He keeps up when he's not in business mode. He stays only slightly high when he's actually doing like serious work.
Right. He'll get his work
But,
done, but then when he's done,
Yeah, he tokes, and then we've got a few buddies that keep
you
up with
all
us.
heard him last
so.
podcast, but you heard him too. In this room at like 10 in the morning, we smoke more blunts than he smoked at that time in the morning. So gives you an idea. You know, we're a little bit more.
A little different.
You know, we don't encourage everyone to smoke as much weed as we do. We don't encourage you to smoke any less than we do. You find your
You know
own.
what?
You find your own
It's not a
path.
contest.
As Ben would say,
It's not a contest at all.
as
Hike
our
your
good
own
friend
hike.
Ben would say.
Hike your own hike. Love it.
Oh,
Oh, the
Yep.
weed and tattoos. They're life, man.
something I was going to talk about a little bit and just touch on is I can't wait for the wonderful conversation we're going to be able to get into with our clients, you know, with their portable setups and being able to just like even put a headset on while we're tattooing and set the mixer up next to us.
Absolutely.
You know, we can probably record out the silences and stuff, but we just sit and talk, because the conversations I get in with people sometimes, some people it's hit or miss. You know, it's just whether sometimes I meet people, it's almost synchronistic in some way. You know, I end up becoming good friends with them, and our minds just meld. And whether it's a guy or a girl, we just end up fucking vibing on an awesome level, not in like any sort of romantic way, just like awesome friends. Like, whoa, did we just become really good friends? Like, while I'm tattooing you, sweet. Like, we get into like, we don't stop talking for hours. We just get into every subject.
It turns into just hanging
and
out.
it's so weird. I'm like, we'll be chilling for like 6 hours, and I'll be like, holy shit, like, I'm talking to this person like I've known them forever, and we're just like, but that happens like all the time, and it's really cool, and I feel super lucky to get to meet people like that and have such great conversation. And I refresh myself every day when I'm talking to someone new the next day. In no way do I have that service, feeling like a lot of people do, where like, oh, I had to talk to everyone like this all day yesterday. You know, I had to say the same shit, same fucking fake smile and stuff.
Oh,
like,
I only feel like that when I'm going through my emails.
Right. I could have great new conversation with people every day and get to know people on so many different walks of life, and then get to really delve, especially things I like to talk about, and people that can have a back and forth and have some like, good things to say about that. So, we get along on certain topics, even on whatever level, and it's just fun to get into it. So it'll be cool to get that candid conversation sometime.
Yeah, no, I love it. One of the ideas I've always had is to, and this will happen eventually, is I'd like to write a book with not my stories, but my clients' stories, and then make that my like tattoo career journey, where like maybe the clients that are willing to share like their name and the specifics of their stories, I could put their story next to the tattoo, whether the tattoo has to do with that story or not. And then like the clients where the stories are maybe a little bit more private, we could just like refer to them as the date and keep it very ambiguous, but still share the story and
absolutely
the purpose of the tattoo and the growth of the
that's
journey
honestly
throughout
what
the large project.
That's what I think. I kind of want to keep the people in it like a little bit more, anonymous. Maybe if people really want to be like shout out, like, hey, put my name out there for sure. Like maybe
Yeah.
I'll do that, for sure. But I think naturally we'll just try to get like a lot of sound bites from different things like that. And
Yeah,
maybe a whole
I would
podcast
love
could
to
be like
start
sitting
having-
talking back and forth. But maybe sometimes we just, have
Yep.
little conversations. Maybe like, there's a 15-minute conversation about something, or maybe there was a 2-hour conversation we got into about robots.
Yep. I think stuff like that would be great because so many of our clients, we end up knowing them so well and on such cool levels that, one day we might be working on a professional athlete and it's going to just be our homie that's chilling with us. Like you wouldn't know it. Or
Right.
like we might be working on a musician and it's just a homie and you wouldn't know it. Or
Right.
we might be working with a guy that's like a VP at a bank and you wouldn't know it. That's
I
one of the
like that.
cool things is everybody comes pretty
It's
equal
a great
to the
it's
shop.
a great equalizer.
Yeah.
Puts everyone kind
Yep.
of
Everybody's got
right
this
at that same
super
level.
cool thing in common.
And
so
they always come to us, humbly. They come to us for something, and so they're always, no matter what walk of life, it is. So it's cool. It's cool to see that, and it's cool to talk to people on
Yep.
that level because, they're usually willing to talk about anything. They feel like they're in a safe space with someone who's never going to relay this information to anyone else because who cares? And if they do, they probably don't know anyone I do.
right. Yeah. No, there is a lot of we talk about the energy exchange between artist and client. But it definitely goes both ways. Like my clients change me just as much as like I've been changed by the tattooers that have worked on me. Like it's definitely an ebb and flow. Like I don't know. I feel like I almost feel like sometimes just being present while my clients are growing and going through the experiences that I've been through. Sometimes I feel like just being there with them and kind of like guiding them through that experience, if you will, it almost makes me stronger and better. And, just because I'm showing somebody else these beautiful experiences, and not that pain is beautiful, that's awful, but it's all of the growth that comes with it and all the, all the other spiritual side effects, the happy spiritual side effects of tattooing. I love walking my clients through those moments. It's great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that just only adds to the friendship more because you're with them while they're going through this intimate growth process on the inside. You're the person there with your hands on them, touching them and, being there, comforting them, like giving them encouraging words. Hopefully your tattoo artist is giving you encouraging words, but but that makes that connection even more special.
Yeah, it's really wild to think about. I mean, absolutely. I totally agree with that. But it's so wild to think that we're talking about how many people we've probably tattooed at this point. And I don't know, like, sometimes we talk about like psychological things and all that, and people might think like, what kind of, who are you to talk about some of these things? When I really think about it, we've heard so much from thousands of people who have unfolded their lives in however many different ways, and how many other jobs are there that aren't directly related to like therapy or something, that where you sit with that person and you really get to know them. I think there are a lot of them, but I mean, we're still one of those ones where, with what we do, torture someone and then still have them be so cool with you that they'll tell you about their deepest traumas or their things that make them the happiest, or a lot of times their deepest things in their private life. People don't give a fuck to talk about anything with me. Like, they'll get into their deepest fetishes, they'll get into their deepest traumas, their deepest pains, what their boyfriend's doing, what their girlfriend's doing. They'll talk to me like it's their time to fucking vent right now, and they love it. And I think it's fun. I don't know. Like, if it gives me some excitement if I don't think it's completely annoying and it's something I don't care about, but I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to give myself something to think about while I'm tattooing and like, just kind of like getting into their drama, but not interjecting, just like listening and being like, yeah.
You're an observer only at that point.
Exactly. And I don't interject, so it doesn't do anything. But if I got any nuggets of like, something I think, I'll give to people. But I feel like a lot of those nuggets of advice, it's got nothing to, I feel like so much of what we're talking about here has nothing to do with tattooing as much as just that like connection you built with people over years and years. And it's, if I didn't have tattooing, I think I would be a lot less social. I would be a lot less of a people person. Like, I absolutely love people. I love getting to know people. I think people piss me off more than anything. I don't want to say piss me off, but it really bugs me to see people, do bad things in the world, and that gets really tiring. But for the most part, I do see the good in everybody, and even the bad people. And I try to always see that. But all in all, I really enjoy people, and I think tattooing has shown me that. I think for a lot of people,
gives us a cool window
it can
into
be the
people's
opposite for
lives.
people, though. I think it is about how you see things and who you are, because some people get really burnt out with people, but I think it's from a negative attitude. What you're doing, who you're tattooing, because I have great clients, and my clients, a lot of them,
I think it boils down to the art that you make, and like the art that I'm like, you make beautiful geometric
it's the magnet, yeah.
things,
it's that power of
and
attraction.
when people like that same style and that same vibe and that same flow, you're probably going to have a lot of other same vibes that are real similar. So I feel like the way that I like to make like psychedelic nature-y stuff, anybody that's going to be drawn to that kind of artwork is probably going to like psychedelic nature-y stuff. We're probably going to have a lot of things in common. Like if we're visually drawn to the same things, we're probably spiritually going to be drawn to the same things. And not to be like, guru about it or anything, but I just think there's a direct correlation, and I think that's why it's important to do your homework, to find that artist whose work speaks to you, to find that artist who you want to connect with on the soul level, because like even for the little tattoos, you're still going to have all the memories of the artist that made it for you. I've got some tattoos that are like, for instance, the one on the inside of my ear. I remember that day. I remember the guy that made it. I remember his accent,
I got clients I feel like I became best friends with them in a day, and then I don't see them again for a year, and then when we see each other, we're like best friends again.
Yeah, and it's funny how like even people you see that infrequently, it's funny that after like spending a full day with them and hearing them talk about their life and their job and their kids and their family and, just the natural things that come up in conversation. But after a year or 2 years or sometimes even several years in between, you'll see that client again, and then all of a sudden, like, you'll remember all their kids' names. You'll remember, like, where they went to high school. You'll start remembering all these little stories that they told. And it's cool when it's like all those memories flood back in from your previous conversation. And then that person just feels that much more at home because, like, A, you cared enough to listen, and B, like, you remembered. Like, and sometimes, like, I lose details, but, like, I'll remember somebody's got 3 boys or 3 girls, or I'll know they had a baby over the last year, or I'll just it's nice to just have those personal connections with your client, because then it makes the tattoo that much more personal and special. Jordan just switched up the lights on us. That was a little distracting, but it's better.
Sorry.
Mood lighting.
Yeah, those lights were getting a little bit
yeah, I like that softer light.
They're hurting my eyes.
I like that softer light better.
Nice.
Thank you.
We got some nice
Good call.
blue light in here.
Good call. I like it.
It feels
Yeah.
better.
So let's see. We've talked about a lot of things today. I feel like we're probably closing in on our time, huh?
Yeah, so I wanted to keep this about 2 hours. I think we're going to try to keep these within 2 hours. I don't think it's any problem to go over them, to be honest. Whenever we feel like ending it.
Yeah,
I
feel
really
like
enjoy-
2 hours is
I really
plenty
enjoy-
of time to hear us drone on.
Right. So it's like max like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Max.
We might have some rad guests where it'll be worth it to continue talking, but like if we get longer than 2 or 2.5 hours, we'll probably split them up into 2 episodes just to keep them like manageable and easy to listen to. What do you
Yeah,
think?
absolutely. And I'm, this podcast, if you've heard our other ones, this one probably sounds much better. I'm really happy with it, and I think it'll be a lot easier for people to listen to us for longer periods of time. And I think just like the way I listen to podcasts, there's no part when I'm listening to any one podcast, the way I listen to them, where I'm like, where I just want to change it because it's getting too long. I almost don't want them to end, to be honest.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and I'm bummed when they do.
Or
end.
you just go right into the next one, or you jump
if
into
there's
an old
really
one.
good conversation going on, I really don't want it to end. I'm like, I like listening to like Rogan or Duncan Trussell or something. I really, if they're on a subject, I'm like, damn it, because then I gotta find another one on this subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like it sometimes just for the ease of 1 and 2 parts, we can split things up.
And I feel you.
But I don't think we should limit it. I think maybe when it's just me and you talking, because we see like you and I could do this probably 3 or 4 times a week if we had time to sit and like get these things uploaded. But
if all of a sudden we're at 2 hours, then if all of a sudden we're at 2 hours, we don't have to be like, oh, we gotta go. peace.
Yeah.
You know, we can be like, okay, well, we just realized we're at the 2-hour mark, but we will, we'll finish up on you guys. Or, I mean, that sounded extremely sexual. We won't do that. We will,
Mine's out of the gutter. Out of the gutter.
It's all right. It's all right. That's fun. That's fun. Fawn's wonderful. I think I tend to be a little bit more.
Well, the innuendo's always there.
Yeah.
I throw the innuendo in.
I've always got it at the forefront of my mind in whatever I'm doing, though. So it's gonna be there.
Nice.
And I'm always a "that's what she said" kind of person. So.
I feel like I just
how
have
do
a
I make
look.
that? How
There's
do
just a look where
so
you know
to me
that I'm
it's
thinking something creepy.
Someone says something, I'm like, how do I make this sexual?
It's always the eyebrows.
Right.
Give it away when you're up to no good too. Every time.
I got that eyebrow. It does its thing. Right? It's like a mind of its own.
Yeah, can't hide your thoughts. All right, man. Well, I feel like this has been a pleasant journey today down the rabbit hole.
All right.
So we have we'll have another collector in here for our next episode. We can't. I hope everything goes good when we get together.
Yes,
we'll share
Sunday.
some information on
Blade Amodio.
Yeah,
We're gonna
his,
have Blade Amodio.
Instagram information and stuff over the next couple days.
on Instagram.
he's
Check
a
him
rad
out
dude.
because his collection is fucking rad.
Yeah, I've talked to him several times, like while he was being worked on. He's collected from Marty Holcomb, and I happened to be there, and he's collected some
Big Adam
amazing
chess
pieces.
piece.
He just got his noggin done by Nathan Marty.
He just set up his appointment with me as well.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna be filling his arm up with some
Okay.
geo-techy stuff.
Did he get in touch with you after we talked about
This is like 2 days ago, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
He seems
He's followed
pretty
my
cool.
work for years. I've seen you out there, Blade. I've seen you. I've seen you liking my stuff.
Yeah. That's cool. I've only talked to him like during tattoo sessions, so it'd be cool to hang out and actually hear. Because like when you're getting tattooed, it's really hard to articulate like how you're feeling and what's going on. It's always just like, yep, cool, okay, this hurts. Yep.
Yeah.
But like when we can talk about it afterwards, we can actually like get into like the full experience. So I think he'll be a rad guest. I think you'll be blown away by his collection
I like
too.
having anyone in here too. Just it's nice to have 3 people talking. 2 people talking's cool, but then when you got 3, it really sparks a lot of conversation. And I don't know anything about them, so
yeah,
it's gonna
you guys
be.
are gonna hear about our collection all the time.
So
we want to
we're
share
all
as
gonna
many
get to
other
learn
collectors.
about him and his journey.
Yeah, it's gonna be rad. So okay, next show. That's what we're doing.
Nice.
Talk to you guys soon.
Sweet. Thank you for joining us at
Love.
the Tattoo Collecting Podcast. This is Jordan Rookus signing off with Vaughn Baker. Please look at the skies tonight. See if you can see a tiny light moving across the sky. Watch it. See if it stops. If it stops, watch it some more.
It's aliens.
If it's sitting there for a little
Wave.
while, watch it. It might move again. Thank you. Good night.